Okay, take two. Welcome to Critical Weight Theory. So, in this episode, I am tackling a tired, cynical talking point that routinely circulates in right wing media, the claim that the Southern Poverty Law Center, or the SPLC, is manufacturing racism or ginning up hate just to stay relevant. So, you may have heard about the lawsuit from the Trump administration going after the SPLC, and it is a sick joke. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the claim that that the SPLC, which is an organization founded in 1971 and which won landmark multi-million dollar civil judgments and literally bankrupted factions of the KKK, is inventing white supremacy. Well, that is an insult to history. The SPLC doesn't invent hate, they map it, and they have actually fought it in court. Their methodology is rigorous, tracking explicit group activities, manifestos, public statements, and criminal actions. And if anyone thinks the threat is gone because we aren't in the 1950s anymore, well, the FBI's own data shows that hate crimes are hitting historic highs in recent years, and the extremism has simply evolved, moving into digital spaces and modern movements like the anti LGBTQ complex and the online manosphere. So, for example, in 2021, it was studied and revealed that hate crimes increased against Asian Americans, just as an example. And the SPLC is there to map these kinds of things and sometimes to take legal action. So lately, critics have tried to weaponize the SPLC's use of informants, paid informants, to claim the organization is funding the very groups that it fights. So let's be entirely clear about how counter extremism works. You cannot easily dismantle a violent underground terrorist cell or a neo Nazi group from the outside. Infiltrating these networks through field sources is a standard, probably necessary, and high risk operational reality. It's a tactic used to intercept domestic terror plots before they happen, saving lives by feeding actionable intelligence to law enforcement and things like that. And of course, even if it's not law enforcement, they are using the media as well, spreading awareness. So the real irony isn't that the SPLC has such tactics. The real story is the staggering hypocrisy of a political right that attacks civil rights organizations while actively cozying up to extremism. And one of their ways of attacking civil rights organizations is to claim that they are being the racist ones. They are actively inverting reality on its head. So think about the Trump administration. While right wing talking heads were busy accusing the SPLC of overreaching, the Trump administration was busy not targeting the KKK or neo Nazis. Instead, not only are they targeting the SPLC, which has a history of combating such organizations, but we saw a normalization of extremist rhetoric from the highest levels of power, backed by a web of deeply disturbing financial ties. So look no further than Donald Trump's long-standing relationship with Deutsche Bank, an institution with a history so dark that it directly links back to funding the construction of Auschwitz during the Holocaust. That's right. The bank, Deutsche Bank, actually helped create Auschwitz. So how come Trump's FBI is not investigating that, or the fact that in the modern era, Deutsche Bank is one of the financial institutions willing to continually underwrite Trump's empire when other American banks wouldn't touch him? You know, it's a strange thing. What's so special about Deutsche Bank? Well, the pattern of profiting off human suffering didn't stop in the past with Deutsche Bank. We've seen these same financial networks backing the mass detentions of the Trump era, including the funding of private for profit ICE detention centers, the modern concentration camps, facilities that human rights advocates have repeatedly condemned as modern day concentration camps. Indeed, due to the systematic abuse, the medical neglect, and the forced family separations. Well, Deutsche Bank is funding at least one of these detention centers, as they're called. So keep that in mind. This organization that has close ties with Trump and that helped create Auschwitz is currently building new prisons for immigrants. And you have to wonder how come more people aren't talking about that, and including some people on the left. Look, I've not talked about that enough myself in the past. I completely forgot about Deutsche Bank's links to Nazi Germany, in fact, and for some reason it just slipped out of my attention that Deutsche Bank was closely tied with Trump. It was the go to bank. Well, in many ways, they actually went to him and made deals with him. And it was to apparently, you know, create a network like this. And it's definitely something that they're making money off of at this point. And, it's part of an evil history that is still unfolding right before our eyes. It's a pattern that goes back to obviously the the fascist countries of old. And unfortunately, I don't see enough people talking about this. So that's why I'm bringing this up partly in this video, but it also shows you the hypocrisy of the Trump administration claiming that the SPLC, of all people, are some cause for concern when we already have these direct links to the Trump administration and, Trump himself. So when critics claim the SPLC is manufacturing a crisis to stay relevant, they're trying to distract you. They want you looking at a nonprofit's research metrics so you don't look at the corporate backing, the fascist financial legacies, and the political alliances driving modern extremism. The SPLC isn't inventing the threat is real, it is funded, and it has reached the highest corridors of power. So that's about it for this episode. Thanks for listening to Critical Weight Theory, and stand firm, stay vigilant, and I'll see you in the next episode.